Can you hear me? All right, I think you can. Good afternoon. So I'm a little behind today as I was hoping to do each day just a very quick encouragement and doing the fruit of the Spirit. Yesterday we talked about love, and today it's joy. And the fruit of the Spirit is joy. And remember, the fruit of the Spirit are not a whole bunch of fruits, it's one fruit that has a lot of different parts. And so the first part was love. And the second part is joy. Now, what is joy? We struggle with joy because we so often use joy and happiness as kind of the same word. And we use joy and happiness in the same way. And so we look at joy and we think happy. And happy is a tough thing because it's fun to be happy. I like to be happy, but happy is hard to do. And especially when things are really hard and when things are really scary or when things are very frustrating, then happy can go out the window pretty quick. You talk about marriage. Do you have a happy marriage? Well, that's a hard thing sometimes. What if you guys aren't getting along? What if things are tough? So what's joy? Because of how we use the word in English, we tend to think of joy as kind of the top of happiness. Like you have, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm joy, and maybe overjoyed, I'm overjoyed. So we think joy is the top of happy. But a better way to think about joy is that joy is oftentimes the bottom of sorrow. Now, just bear me out for a minute. Sorrow can go deep. Wouldn't it be nice if sorrow couldn't go too deep because there was something down there to keep you from going too far? That's what joy does. Sorrow can last for a while. The Bible says, though sorrow may last for the night, there's joy in the morning. Joy is the understanding that there's more. The Bible says that Jesus, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising its shame. How did Jesus get through the worst day of anybody's life ever? Being tortured and killed by torture. Because he knew there was joy down there. He knew there was joy at the end of it. The Bible talks about when someone dies, it says, "Beloved, let us not mourn like those who have no hope." It doesn't say don't mourn. It doesn't mean that you don't have sorrow, but you can't go too deep because there's joy down there. And I just talked to a friend of mine who's a pastor out in New York, and he just lost his father-in-law, named Ira, by the way. And they're sad. It's sad to lose a loved one. It's sad to lose a parent. But he said, we know he's rejoicing. So their joy isn't like extreme happiness. Their joy is something that exists in sorrow. So one of the fruit of the Spirit is joy, which means that even as we deal with all the different things to do with this crisis, and maybe you're most worried about the virus, or maybe you're most worried about the government, or maybe you're most worried about your job and the economics, there is unmistakably hard times in front of us, and we're in them. But there's joy. There's joy to be had during those. You may not be happy. Happy may not be possible. But there's joy because I know this isn't all there is to it. That's how Paul and Silas can sing praises in the dungeon. That's how Daniel can be in the lion's den and not be a crying mess. That's how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stand and say to the king, yeah, we realize we are maybe about to die in this fire, but we'll be okay. Not because they weren't afraid or because it wasn't scary or sad, because there's joy. And that's how Jesus can hang on the cross. And as much agony as he's in, he knows there's joy awaiting him. Do you know that? Is your connection with the Spirit of God, your awareness of him in you so strong that even when you've had a really bad day, even when you're really frustrated by people or governments or everything, that you have joy? I find that when my joy is missing, that's a warning sign I'm not in the Spirit. Because I cannot manufacture joy. I can't create joy. But if I'm in the Spirit, joy will be produced in my life. And so I want to encourage you to watch for joy. Maybe you're in a tough shape. Maybe your marriage is in tough shape. Maybe your friendships are in tough shape. Maybe your job's in tough shape. Maybe your health is in tough shape. Do you have joy? If you don't, you can't go find joy. But you can rest yourself in the Spirit, and the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy. So I'm praying for you. And I hope that's an encouragement to you today. And Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll do the next piece of the fruit of the Spirit. But I hope that you will find moments of joy today, even in the midst of maybe less than happy things. I love you, praying for you, and you have a great day.